So, you decided to rent out your property, whether it is an old house that you used to live in or it's a new property that you bought for investment. So, you want to rent it out.
But are you thinking what I'm thinking?
Should you furnish the unit for rent? What's up everybody, welcome to VC. My name is Vincent.
And I'm Chloe. So to furnish or not furnish your property for rent, first and foremost, let's begin with understanding the terms fully furnished and partially furnished and unfurnished. Think about it like a line where the fully furnished is at the top and unfurnished is at the bottom. So anything in between is partially furnished.
Fully furnished, for example, means that the property is equipped with furniture in the whole unit. Each will have the appropriate furniture such as air conditioning, beds, cabinets, fans, etc. So in the living room will contain the appropriate seating such as couch or sofa, coffee table, lightings, and maybe even some decorations. The kitchen will include all the necessary electronics too, a stove, a fridge, washing machine, and all appropriate for the tenant feel comfortable living and allowing them to bring almost no furniture at all.
Yeah. So unfurnished on the other hand is basically a unit that contains the most basic items in a house. Note, this does not include furnitures. These are things like lightings, maybe air conditioning, ceiling fans, that's all.
Yep, so if you have a unit that with 3 rooms, all furniture are included but only 1 room has the bed, while the other 2 rooms with no beds, this is considered as partially furnished.
Now what about a bare unit? A bare unit is when you see those lighting points where the wire is still dangling around and you can see the air conditioning piping. Yeah, so that's a bare unit where it is literally bare. So remember, if you're renting out your property, try not to say your unit is fully furnished when some of the elements or furnitures are missing, because this could lead to a misunderstanding by the tenant.
When it comes to rental property, there are 2 different categories: long-term stay or short-term stay. Long-term stays are, for example, a year or more kind of stay, while short-term stay are more to like a Airbnb units, 1 night, a week, a month, or a couple months.
You can't deny that for a short-term rental, it is more viable to furnish the unit, since short-term rentals are ideal for business travelers who may be in a different country, different city for an extended period of time but less than a long-term rental allows, or people who just want a short-term stay because they want to get a vacation.
The real question comes when you're trying to rent out a property for long term. Should you furnish or not furnish the unit? Of course, the choice is still yours. We will just give some ideas on the benefit you'll be getting, also the cons of furnishing your units. So number 1, rental income. With a furnished unit, did you know that you can actually rent out your property with a higher rental price?
You can actually charge an average of 20% to 30% more per month. Why? Well, because the thought of moving is already overwhelming enough by the tenant. So by providing furnitures for your tenant, you're helping them to eliminate the hassle of having to move their whole house into the new rental property. Imagine you were a tenant moving out from your parents' house with a furnished unit. You don't have to pay for the extra money to get a truck to move your furnitures or even shop for new furnitures, because you can directly move into the house. So most people would spend that extra money to get a furnished unit to make it easier for them, super convenient and hassle-free.
Yep. So next is, in general, furnished properties are more demand than unfurnished properties. As a result, you may be able to rent out your property way much quicker, plus you don't have to spend extra time given to the tenants to move in their furnitures. The more time you spend on collecting rents, the less time you spend to worry about your unoccupied property, and you can save time with both of these.
Yeah, I know, right? But some owners are actually questioning why their property cannot be rented out. But the problem is they don't want to spend that a little bit of money to furnish the property. Your furnitures don't have to be like crazy expensive, they just have to be simple furnitures. Like, the simpler the better, since it appears much more cozier. Not to mention, your tenant can move right out when the agreement ends. They don't have to spend an entire week to move their furnitures again. As Vincent said just now, the faster you fill a unit, the more rental income you receive.
Yep, and something not many people think about is, when you find a tenant who is renting your unfurnished unit, it means that they have their own furniture, right? When they have their own furniture, it is not likely that they will be moving so soon. They will be maybe stay for 2 years or even more. So now to think about it, whoa, it's a good idea that I don't have to search for a new tenant. But think about getting some rental income for 2 years is kind of sad, not? So with a furnished unit, the client may be staying for a year or 2, which means their next tenant, you can increase their rental rate according to the market price and demand.
Then, what would be the reason to have an unfurnished unit? Well, to cut it short, you get to cut off the potential of wears and tears. Plus, the furnitures are being provided by the tenant and not the owner, so you're not responsible for those items. Other than that, you also get to save time and money, the upfront costs to renovate and furnish the unit. And not to mention, you don't have to replace the furnitures when it's worn down.
But I actually have a thought though. Even if you don't furnish your property, you don't have to replace the wear and tear. But don't you think that the tenants move in and out your property with those big and heavy furniture will damage your property? Yeah. So they will be more costly, not just the wall paint, but the floor cracks, the scratches, any dents or door damages. That'll be cost a lot, right? Well, if you're a furnished unit, moving furniture won't be so often, which means cut down the possibility of damages to the unit in general.
To make a conclusion, the advantages of furnishing your unit would be getting a higher rental income compared to unfurnishing it.
You'll be getting to fill in your unit faster if you furnish it, since it attracts more tenants compared to an unfurnished unit.
Plus, with a furnished unit, you can raise the rental rates accordingly after your tenant moves away, since an unfurnished unit tenant will tend to stay longer.
Yep, but the cons of furnished unit will be that you have to replace the worn down furniture compared to an unfurnished one. But you got less damage to your property itself because you don't have to move furniture as often as unfurnished property.
So to furnish or not to furnish your rental property is your decision. But personally for us, we will recommend furnishing the rental property. Why, you may ask? Because when we're renting out a rental property, especially when it's an investment property, we want to get the maximum return as much as possible. That's the purpose of investment, right? To get returns.
Yep, exactly. This means if your monthly installment is 2,000 ringgit, for example, if you rent it out for 2001 and unfurnished unit, so you'll be only getting 100 ringgit positive cash flow. But if you're renting out a furnished one, renting out for 2005, you could get 500 ringgit extra. Now you have 500 extra more per month. Now, this definitely depends on you, because after getting the keys to your property, not only do you have to renovate it if it's a bad unit, but you have to furnish it too, which means you have to fork out some upfront costs for it. A rule of thumb for investment property, your furnishing cost should not be over 4%, so it will be easier for you to break even in the near future lah, right? So put into comparison, so if the property is worth around like 500,000, the renovation cost is around like 20,000. If your unfurnished rental rate at 2001, your annual rental yield will be at 5.04%. But for the furnished rental rate at 2005, your annual rental yield will be at 5.77%, and additionally, you'll be much easier to rent it out for a furnished unit, which means perfect for rental property.
For us, it is definitely worth the long term. When adding all of the benefits of furnishing a unit, you can conclude that you get a higher rental income, and also you get to rent out the unit way much faster, which means you get to cover your monthly installments way quicker with positive cash flow. It's like owning a property without having to pay for it every single month. It's crazy.
Yep, but please to remember that buying for an investment, don't rent it out a bare unit. It is super unlikely for a tenant to get a bare unit renovated and get the lights done, the fan, you need to get it done, buy all the furniture to move in, unless it's their own home lah. Some owner out there might have the thought of, who knows, my tenant, they have their own furniture, right? But is it often for you to see a tenants move in their bed, their fridge, their sofa, everything, like their washing machine, all of that to your rental property? Most likely not, since in this era, everybody wants some convenience. They want to save time, and they might have their own furniture, but no one wants to move their whole house into your rental property. That'll be so much work.
Another tip for the owners out there looking to furnish their investment property for rent, don't furnish it accordingly to your emotions, please. We heard too much stories of owners buying that piece of furniture just because they think it's pretty and comfy. At the end of the day, they try to rent it out. The property is way much higher in price than the market price, and no one would pay the money for it.
Hey, you remember last time when we rent the unit, it was like red and pinkish.
Yeah.
Oh my god, because of the owner likes pink. Oh my god.
So kindly please remember that your taste is not everyone's taste too. So keep it simple, livable, and the simpler the better, y'all.
Steady, bro. Yep, it's all from us today. Thank you for watching. If you gained some new knowledge from this video, do give it a like. Consider subscribing as we post a lot of property, real estate related content in this channel. Join the VC family, and we will see you
in the next
video. Ciao.